Guitar music is notated in three basic ways. Today we're going to be discussing one of those called standard music notation. Standard music notation is used by all instruments: piano, violin, viola, cello, clarinet, flute. They all read standard music notation. And it's really the hardest to learn first, so we're going to start with it and use it for a few weeks, and then we'll transition into the other forms of notation. So, example 1A in the textbook is our first example of standard music notation. Now, if you've never read music, this may look like a bunch of gibberish, but you've already played this. In fact, this is what we just learned to play with the rest strokes on the first string. So some of these symbols you might recognize. For example, I am. That's the indication for the right hand fingers. A circled number. This is a circled number 1, ... That means that all of these notes or pitches are on string number 1. Notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. We made 8 plucks. We're going to then break this down by elements even further. So, this next symbol, it is called a quarter note. Now, it represents 1 pluck. The quarter note has a couple different elements: the note head and then a stem. The stem can either go up or down, depending on its placement. We'll discuss that later. Basically, it represents a pluck or a beat, if you want to think of it that way, or even a count. So on the bottom of page 8, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarter notes. They represent 8 plucks, just like we did when we plucked them. And as you pluck these, you want to visually be following each of them, particularly when they're in the notation. I'm going to turn to the next page. Music notes or quarter notes are placed on a 5-line staff. The placement of the note head on either a line or a space determines what the letter name of the pitch that you're playing or note that you're playing is. By the way, a note is something that is written on the page that represents a sound. The sound is called a pitch in music. So I will talk about notes and pitches. The note, remember, is the representation on the page of the sound, which is the pitch. Okay, so we have the 5 lines. They form the musical staff. At the beginning of guitar music, we use a treble clef. If you've ever played piano or seen piano music, you know that piano music actually uses 2 sets of staffs, one in treble clef and one in bass clef, but we're only going to use treble clef for guitar. If we look at the first note that we've learned, which was the first string open, that is called E, if you recall. Open means that you're not pressing the string with your left hand. It just rings freely. If we look in the middle of page 9, you will see that that note head of the quarter note is placed in the very top space of the staff. That represents the first string played open, or called E. So anytime you see that note head in that top space, it represents the pitch E, first string open. Remember the circled number, it represents string 1. That serves as a reminder if you forget where that particular note is. Also, notice there's a 0 right next to the note head. A 0 means the string is open, that the left hand is not pressing. So let's go now to the bottom of page 9 and look at this example again. You have here 4 plus 4 of those E's, which represents the first string open. The I and the M, I, M, represents the right hand fingers that you're going to be using to pluck or already used to pluck. The circled number represents string 1. Now notice that we divide these into regular groups of 4. That helps us keep track of the music, and it also organizes it visually. If we look at the next page, page 10 covers meter. Meter is basically how we organize the different beats in music. The example that we learned was organized into groups of 4. If you look at the example, again, example 1A, you'll notice that there's a group of 4 quarter notes and another group of 4 quarter notes. That would be called quadruple meter because it's grouped into regular groups of 4s. The most common meters are groups of 2s, 3s, or 4s. And those are called duple meter, triple meter, and again, quadruple meter. We often say that their meter also reflects an accent pattern. For example, in duple meter, it sounds like this: 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Notice how there's a stress or an accent on that first count. Music like marches are in duple meter. Triple meter has a different feel. It sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you ever have heard a waltz, waltzes are in triple meter. The most common meter is actually quadruple meter, groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The big stress is on the first count, and the third count has a slight stress normally. Now, there's all types of variations of meters, but those are the basic 3 types. Again, meter is just beat groupings, regular beat groupings. In notation, if you look at the bottom of page 10, example 1.1a, again, the count is placed underneath each of these quarter note E's so that you can see that there's 4 of them. Now, those numbers are normally not placed there. You're expected to keep track of them. It's only 4, so it's pretty obvious. Every 4 quarter notes, we get a dividing line called a bar line. Every space of 4 on the page is a measure or a bar. This example at the bottom of page 10 has 1 bar, 2 bars. Each bar has a group of 4. They're also called measures. 1 measure, 2 measures. When you have a solid bar line at the end of an example, that means the music does not go on. It's the end. Otherwise, if it's just a regular bar line, you continue.